Yeah. This episode is not sponsored by
Anybody.
anybody. Definitely not sponsored by Olipop. I wish it was. Um, well, yeah, here we are. Episode. It's one of the episodes. I don't remember which one, but potentially a season 2 debut, still to be decided. But we got Mr. Jake JB here. Jake, thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for rolling out the red carpet.
So where do we even start with this guy? How do we even explain to the people what Jake JB is all about? I guess first and foremost, if you're in the community or you've considered being in the community, you probably have seen this name somewhere. Maybe you've seen the face somewhere. He helps out with a lot of stuff in the community, but he's also a partner in our agency. If you've ever been recruited by our agency, there's a chance that you spoke with him. And he does some other stuff too. But that's where we're at now. It's been like, what, a 2-year journey?
Yeah, just about probably 2 years as of this past June ish.
Yeah. So 2 years out of the matrix.
Out of the
Um,
matrix, man. 1 year, 2 months full time.
yeah. Yeah. How's it going?
It's going really well. It's been crazy, man. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. And I can tell you what, 2 years out, for anyone out there that's thinking about getting into the space or is curious about the space, explore it, talk to people, get in somewhere, and go all in. I've kind of talked about this quite a bit too. It's like I probably spent 10 to 12 months just kind of dipping my toe, waiting for a signal, sign from the ether that I should do this. That doesn't come. And what it actually took was going full time and chatting with people like you, where I
Mhm.
was just like, hey, what does this look like to go full time? The
Yeah.
other people that I chatted with too, they know they're out there. Everyone was like, well, you could go full time or you don't have to. But everyone that's gone full time and everyone that's gone all in, I can't think of one person that we know that did that and
Yeah.
didn't have crazy success.
I mean, dude, even guys that, coming into things seem like they may have a more difficult time, maybe based on their past experience or where they're located in the world or things like that. I've seen those guys, and you've seen it too, um, like pull results that a lot of people don't just because they simply went crazy. They did everything times two. Weekends, in the beginning, you got to do whatever it takes, right? Throwing out your applications, weekends, nights, mornings, all that stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, this is what I tell everyone. It's we're not reinventing the wheel. It's not some new fad business model. Like, sales has been around for a long time. The internet is basically everything these days. It's like, why wouldn't it make sense to sell for internet-based companies as a contractor? I don't know. But how did you were coming from like a corporate space, and for those watching, we have a community member interview. I think this went out earlier this year, where
Mm-hmm.
Jake was closing on a different team than where he's at now. Um, so you might already know some of the story, but you came from what kind of like corporate sales background again?
Yeah, my last corporate job was I was an account manager for a New York advertising agency. We had like a platform, and then we had big corporate clients, and we were basically the middleman in between influencers, like really high end influencers, like $1 million brand deals, big guys, and then huge brands with huge marketing budgets. So my client roster was like CeraVe, Kinder Joy chocolate, a little bit of L'Oreal, Advil, Sensodyne, like big household brands that we all have in our drawers. And on paper, like if I told my mom and my parents and all of her friends that I told them about my job, they'd be very impressed. They'd give me a nice pat on the back. Good job, Jake, you're doing it. But like I've said to a lot, it's like I just looked at myself in the mirror. I was fat, literally 25 pounds heavier than I am now, unhappy and bored because just the incentive structure in corporate sales and in that role, was here's your nice healthy base, show up every day, have your nice status meetings, and then you're good to go, and you're paid for. And there was just no incentive to do what I wanted to do, which was get better, dive into self improvement, and actually improve my skill set.
Yeah.
And that was the last corporate job I have, and hopefully will never have again.
Yeah. You tweeted something, by the way, if you don't follow Jake on Twitter, uh, he's a good follow for sure. He has some very insightful things, and you tweeted something that I retweeted that I'm trying to find right now, unless you deleted it. Did you delete
No, it
it?
should be.
Oh, I found it. Yeah, you tweeted this today, and it's like this is kind of like exactly what I think in my head when we're comparing high ticket versus corporate. And this is based on your experience. You're like, okay, high ticket sales versus corporate sales. You said autonomy versus permission, performance versus politics, independence versus interdependence, be an adult versus HR, and earn what you're worth versus meaningless tiers. And the last one is AFK versus PTO. So like that's like a really I have all these thoughts about both sides, right? And I feel like that tweet, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I got to retweet this. I got to share this because that is like really accurate. And my experience in a corporate sales role is quite limited, but from the people that um, I've spoken to, hundreds of them, like it's a common theme. Um, so yeah, is there? I'm trying to think. I feel like that covers all the bases. I mean, is there anything else you would like add about the differences between the two that you experienced at least?
That's a pretty distilled version, and hopefully the editors out there can put it right here, right next to me.
I'm
But
there.
that's just good. That's one of the that's the distilled version of what I try to get, and that's what I feel in my bones. Like when I actually chat with some of the guys that have come into the community, and they're coming from something corporate, I share my story, and it resonates with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is clearly a life that I want to have instead." And there's a clear distinction too. It's not. I'm not talking about entrepreneurship. I'm literally just talking about remote contracted sales, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And a lot of the frustrations that I felt in corporate had nothing to do with my actual skill set. It was all the stuff on the right side of that tweet that was just like, why do I have to tell my boss's boss that I'm going on a vacation with my fiance? Why does that matter? Why do I have to get your permission to go on vacation?
Yeah.
And it's like I have a probably stronger view than a lot of people about this, but a lot of the corporate bullshit that's going on right now, and it's getting worse with return to office. I've heard from people that are actually returning to office. Like a lot of the policies are actually more authoritarian than that. And it's again, that's an extreme view, but that just
Mhm.
doesn't lead to good work. It clearly leads to what I was experiencing, which is my personal health was suffering, my mental health was suffering, and I wasn't even doing my job. I was just showing up as the character I needed to get my next paycheck. And I was like, this is not what I want. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I wanted to go and start my own business because that was hard. I already tried that. It was difficult. But there's got to be a better way. And it's not really even romantic. It was more of a necessity. When I talked to you the first time, I was like, yeah, man, I got to get out. I don't know what it's like over here, but it's got to be better than what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. Really trying to recall what that conversation was like. Jake joined one of like the first iterations of the community where it was a subscription Slack group,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a the cost of a steak dinner maybe. I'm not sure what it was when you joined, but I would do one on ones with like every single member. And this at this time I was newer to I was newer to doing my own thing. The agency wasn't really a thing. Like this was a while ago, and yeah, I'm trying to remember that conversation that we had, but it's tough, man. I've had a lot of conversations since then. What what do you feel? What do you feel is something that you have that makes you thrive better in this kind of environment versus other people? Like other people need all that stuff on the the right side of the tweet, right? Like
Yeah.
they need guardrails and like authority and all that stuff. But like, what do you think it is about you, or like, yeah, what you prefer that made you ultimately decide to come on the dark side?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's really insightful, and I've tried my best not to just like think of a canned answer. I've actually asked people like, "Hey, what am I doing here? What am I doing right? Like, I can see the numbers, I can see the sales coming in. What am I doing right?" A good friend of mine, Justin Schmidt, like sat me down basically like this and said, "Hey, like, gotta be honest, you're really coachable, and you don't have an ego. I think that's part of it. Like, just understanding that like I want to feel important, but the more I tell myself I'm not, the better results I'll get, and that'll speed up my process
Mm-hmm.
and to where I want to go, right? And it'll help me improve and save a lot of time. The other
Yeah.
thing I talk to again a few folks that are probably going to watch this is you have to have a degree of disagreeability. Like if you, I just inherently have this. It's probably like I was more or less an only child. I've got two older brothers, 10 and 11 years. So I spent a lot of my childhood alone. Um, and just having enough disagreeability to go, that's the norm. I don't want the norm. That's mediocre. I don't want that. I want an exceptional life. And so I think that probably just drove me to this. It eliminated a bunch of other outcomes and kind of got here. And then, I've been broke. Like I know what it feels like to have to scrape $1,000 together to close a bank account. Like, and once you experience that, then if that's zero, getting 5K wired to your account for taking Zoom calls is pretty damn nice.
Yeah. Um, I had a similar experience too, with like kind of had the path laid out. Um, like I had some good footsteps to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and the degree of disability, it's not something I've ever thought about before, but like
Not
thinking about,
disability, disagreeability.
wait, what did I say?
Disability. You are not the same. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I haven't thought of that one either. Degree of disagreeability. Yeah. Is that even a real word?
I don't
Oh,
know, but it is now. It's a serial
yeah.
pod
Okay.
exclusive.
Degree of disability. Okay. Yeah. So I never had either of those, but look, in hindsight, I could see it, and it's hard to come to that conclusion because one, you have to like open up your mind to considering that, and then you have to execute on it, and that's scary because it's like the unknown. Unless you have I don't know, some mentor like the neighbor or like an older brother or someone that can like guide you. But if you don't have that, like it's tough. Yeah, degree of disability. That's
Degree of disagreeability.
um, okay. Do you
But
think
that
that you?
too, though, you bring up something good. Is I think I got myself in a spot where I didn't have a choice, and a lot of other people do, and I think that might hurt them. I don't know. I felt myself being very fortunate to where I kind of burned the boats, and importantly too, I told my partner, my fiance, we're getting married next year. I told her that I kind of burned the boats, and I think that level of accountability is
Yeah,
what you have to put yourself into. That simulation that, all right, I've now told her this is what I'm doing. I gotta go the fuck out.
it's funny how that works, man. Because as I've become like busier and busier, um, I'm kind of like I feel like it's harder for me to focus and achieve things that used to be important to me. Like example, I was like really into the gym and like on my meal plan and stuff like that. Like when I had like a reason, like a real reason to, like I used to be like a tall, like super skinny, and I was like pissed at the world. Like I was like trying to bulk and like not be the skinny dude. And then over like the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been kind of like floating back and forth. I'd get into the routine, whatever. But it wasn't until I had a little bit more accountability. You know, Tony Sanchez, if you're
Mm-hmm.
watching this, shout out Tony.
Boom. Yeah.
Um, he's spinning up a fitness thing, and he was like, dude, like, let me give you a plan and all this stuff, and you give me a testimonial. I was like, cool. And he's doing it for free for me, like, because we're boys. but like because he's counting on me, I am now on my shit. Like I haven't actually, I missed yesterday, but I did it today, the workout. It's supposed to be an off day, but like, it's just funny how that works. Like I could go and buy a $1,000, $2,000 online fitness program. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it. But when there's somebody that a friend or somebody that's there or a partner, like it does make a huge difference, you
And
know?
I've heard that story in a number of different versions too. A good friend of ours, while we're shouting out the homies, JD. We chatted probably a few months ago, and we were closing on the same offer together, and we were both doing well, but he wasn't able to, because of the offer, not because of his own ability. Clearly, wasn't able to support him and his family and a baby on the way. And so he had to leave. And he kind of contacted me and was like, what do I do next? Where do I go? What do I look for? Not that I had the answers, but just to see what I had to say.
Yeah.
And he found something sweet. He just texted me literally last night. Hey, we just crossed like 350K last month. And he's a manager. But
Yeah.
that's that level of accountability. He's like, I got a baby on the way. I've got a house and a mortgage. Those guys win, right? Like imagine trying to compete against JD as someone that has no resources, isn't willing to go and talk to people, isn't in private paid communities, and is just worried about flexing on the timeline.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it's like what do they call, where skill preparation meets opportunity, right? So like, obviously you know him, I know him, a lot of people know him. And he had like put in the hours with the first gig that he had. He was there for like, I don't know, over a year. And it's just like, now he's an asset to, I mean, whoever's looking, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, I think when he joined the team, what they were doing, like 50K a month or something. They had just started,
Mhm.
and then to 350 in what's it been, like 3, 4 months, maybe. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, not long. Not long.
That's crazy. Um, I feel like there's a lot of cool ways we can take this.
Mhm.
There's probably some sales reps listening. There's probably some business owners listening. Um, what was your personal experience coming into this space, landing that first closing role, landing that first good closing role if it wasn't the first one, and just like what overall, like what are some key takeaways from you based on, because you're still closing up for a couple of things right now, but like go back however long you've been full time, like what's the time been like so far?
Yeah. Probably about 14, 15 months and three or four different offers. It's kind of weird because again, for a few months there, I was closing for multiple as a private equity company that didn't go well. Um, but I think if for to kind of summarize that experience, for sure, I tell everyone that's coming in, if they're coming from a corporate background into this and wanting to kind of just jump right to closer, that's totally fine. It works. I did it. I don't think you should necessarily go down to a setter role, and that's not necessary, although it's useful. If you're going to do that, just understand that there's a bit of a process here. You have to try out different offers. One, offers will promise a lot to newer reps. You might be taken advantage of a little bit. That's fine. But just know that the next one is always going to be better, and it's going to get you closer to a really stellar offer. I mean, we know guys that have been on offers for a couple of years, and that's really good in this space because one, you have to hold the attention of the offer owner's like their time long enough to keep the offer running, and two, you have to keep providing value and keep showing up. It's difficult.
Yeah.
So just understand it's going to take a lot to get there, and I think what kind of helped bring my earning floor and my security. We talked about security earlier. Like security is different for everybody. For me, I need to be able to have a network of people that I know that I can call, and if I need help, they will help me out. Here we are. You can see them right here. Like I called you when I was on a business trip, and I said it's not going well. I'm driving up. Let's get together. Let's grab a few drinks and see what we can put together. And we're here now, right? Um, and so that's just you got to find your level of security. That's not going to be in your bank account or your savings account. And I don't know, however you can do that, that's helped my experience so far. Going from offer to offer isn't risky because I know that if I left my offers tomorrow, all of them, I'd be fine in 48 hours. And that's not because of my skill. That's really just because I've
Yeah.
given a lot and I think I've built up a network enough where they would help me out.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something in there about going from offer to offer and 3, 4 offers in this time frame. There's like a misconception, I think, in this space is all the jobs suck. That's why everybody jumps around so much.
Yeah.
And it's not a total misconception because there are situations where guys don't know how to vet and they get into one bad role after the next. But um, if you are someone who's capable, like dude, the first year in high ticket is like very pivotal. Like you have the opportunity to go from making 5K per month to 15 to 20K per month just by playing offense. And that's what I think it's a little bit different about this space because you're a contractor versus a sales rep. Now uh, towards I'm speaking on behalf of the sales reps. If I were brand new, like I would aggressively be moving upwards 2 to 3 times in the first year, assuming that first role is something that's quality. Um, because in the corporate space you can't really do that, right? Because then it goes on your LinkedIn, nobody wants to interview you, whatever. It's a little bit different in this space, but um, yeah, I was speaking with someone in the community about that recently, and they're like, "Well, it seems like everybody jumps around a lot." It's like more so than the corporate space, but like, dude, I know someone that's been on the same team for 6 years or 2 years or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So it exists, but um, how did you know? Because now you said you've been on 3 or 4. How do you know when it's time to jump? And you can be general. You don't have to be like too specific.
Yeah. In general, one big indicator is like if you're simply not getting enough calls. That's the easy one. Two, if there is someone on that team that is a cancer, leave. That's a problem that cannot be solved. And the fact that they're still there is an indicator that you probably shouldn't be there anymore. And the cancer could be many things, right? They could be a drain on the energy. They could be horrible in meetings. They could be uh, just not, they could be offering advice you don't want. There's a number of different things, right? Um, and like probably more importantly for the guys that do have a skill set and can transfer that and can portray like they can show up and be professional. If you're not, if your conviction is not 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 in what you're selling, and if you're not actively seeing the results of the people that you get into the program or that are using the service or whatever, if that feedback loop isn't tight, you're gonna kind of subconsciously lose faith in it, and you're not going to perform on sales calls because then your heart's going to get involved and you're going to get on a call with someone that you like, and you're going to be like, I actually don't want this for you,
Yeah,
and that's big too. So if the offer's not delivering results, you're going to lose subconsciously, and then you're going to consciously lose, and then it's kind of too late.
yeah. I we accepted we accepted a referral in the agency before you were working with us, and it was in the e-com space, and it was an offer that had done $6 million per month prior to us being there. And the more we got in there, the more we started fixing things and ramping things up. I started to think like would I go sell this to my friends and family?
Hmm.
And after I realized, hell no, I wouldn't. Then it was a countdown timer from there. We were I don't know how much longer we were there, and that there were some other things involved as to why we left that client, but now thinking with everything that we're doing now, it's like, would I sell it to my friends and family and at full price? And well, I would try to cut my family friends and discount, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
would I feel good if someone came and spent full price that I know on this? And that's how I kind of know, like with the agency stuff, or even if you're a closer, like that's how you know you're in the right or the wrong place a lot of times, in my opinion. Plus
Hmm.
the stuff that you said, like if you don't have calls, yeah, that's a problem in itself.
Yeah, get the hell out.
Um, can you share a little bit? So, like for context, we picked up an agency client that Jake is taking the lead on, and I don't want to get into like too many specifics, but it's selling to people, selling a product that is more on that kind of traditional corporate uh, white collar side of things, if you will.
Hmm.
Can you talk about that unique blend of like high ticket and what would usually be deemed as like a corporate, like there's people that would probably want that job that have like finance degrees and experience in the field, right? And I don't
Hmm.
think you don't have a finance degree, do you?
I do not.
Okay.
Political science, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, can you talk about that? Like just the and there's other roles like that now in this field again as the internet grows and people
Mhm.
gain audiences and skills that are monetizable um, online. So yeah, what's that been like?
It's been interesting. We kind of talked about the software sales arc and the tech sales arc, and I think it's just one quick observation too. Like we're seeing this in the agency. This space is growing up quick, right? It's not just gurus selling their event tickets. It's legit. Like every one of our offers, almost everyone has a software element that probably required, I know at least on this one, millions of dollars to develop, right? These are legit businesses. And so to come back to your question of like, what has it been like to sell to a more traditional audience in a high ticket model? I think I don't know, it's a really good question. It's been interesting to see like what works, like what
Mhm.
high ticket principle or framework can we take into a more traditional software like sale. And that's been interesting too. Like the big one and the big shift that we're learning as I've been on this is how do you condense the timeline down to a point where they're in the pipeline and you need them to make a decision and you want them to make a decision, you know it can help them, but how can you actually condense that down? Because in a traditional tech software, like they can subscribe at any time, whenever they kind of feel like it, and wherever, whenever
Yeah.
they want or they have extra money or whatever. And so kind of what I didn't have in the corporate world, I had a lot of the professionalism and like executive presence is what it's called, where you can actually just talk to people, not just with money, but like people with experience and people that are distinguished and have lived through a bunch of stuff and they know what you're doing. Like, how do you actually talk to those people on a human level and just know that they're a dad of three kids? That's part of it. But then, how do you actually portray the value of what you're selling to them and make that urgent? So it's part of like that old school, like, okay, we have a meeting and then we set a follow up meeting and we set a follow up meeting and you just kind of keep following up until eventually they're either so tired or they like you enough that they buy.
Yeah.
There's part of that.
I think the high ticket software is definitely in right now.
Yeah,
uh,
very much so.
we know that for a fact. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's interesting, man.
yeah,
Because, and I think it's because of all the marketers in this space, the marketers who sell, high ticket sales is some dream, escape the matrix, part time,
yep.
20K a month, own your own business kind of thing. Um, 20K a month is possible, by the way, but like part time, 20K a month, escaping the matrix, like that whole angle, it's like flooded this market with like kid. I mean, they're not all kids, but like people who just are not professionals.
Yeah,
And so when you come into this space, and well, if you have that professional background or you just know how to be professional, like you just smoke everyone. And especially the guys that are coming in with sales backgrounds that are 30 plus in age, like they start at 35 years old. Those guys crush it. Like I don't know anyone that comes into the community that's over 30 years old and doesn't rip 10K months.
Yeah.
Like literally. So
Season of life, baby. Season of life. We talk about those folks. We recruit those folks for a reason.
yeah.
They have a degree of expectation on what it means to do a good job. I got a question for you. You've seen a bunch of people come through the community, and you've been on this side of things for a while. We're rocking hats and t-shirts right now in our apartments working from home. On paper, if you were going to ask ChatGPT or Midjourney, what does professionalism look like? We probably don't look like it. In your opinion, how do you distill what professionalism is?
Well, I'm a huge proponent of the visual part really mattering.
Hmm.
And the visual part, hold on, I'm trying to think of like the hierarchy here. Obviously the way you think, speak and act on a call or in a conversation with somebody is the most important, but a shitty background is like fuel to the fire.
No bedrooms. No bedrooms.
Yeah, I mean it. I started in my bedroom. You just didn't know it was a bedroom. Like if I
Yeah.
know it's a bedroom, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if you're on video, like setters don't really, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
like if you're on a video, and it depends who you're selling to as well. Because example, like people who come into our community, it's a high ticket product. If you don't know, and Jake and I will have those calls with people who are interested. What exactly? Like we're almost wearing the same thing, shirt, like kind of plain shirt, clean hat. Like I mean, that's not dress code by any means, but like it gets the job done. However, when you sell the other one that you're leading on, like you're buttoned up, right?
Yeah. Buttoned up or polo. No hat for sure.
So I will say, man, like we hired these couple of guys that come well referred, and one of them's in the community. And they showed up to the interview, and they had a good record in this space. Like they'd closed, I don't know how much, probably seven figures plus. And they showed up in like suit and tie, both of them. These were like separate interviews, and dude, like they were hired like on the spot pretty much, like because they had the record and they showed up like dressed for success. And like I'm not going to go and tell people like, oh, you got to start throwing on the suit and tie or like the sport coat or anything like that, but it depends who you're selling to. And I think if you are selling to like a younger, like a TikTok shop, because that's really hot right now, and
Hmm.
people are blowing up with that. It's like, I mean, what we're wearing right now, or potentially less, is get the job done. It just depends. Like it goes back to social awareness, because like before this recording that we're doing, I noticed there were like some cups on the counter behind me, and I literally got up and I was like, I don't want that back there.
Yep.
Other people wouldn't even think to do that, right?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I guess what was the overarching question again? Like just
How
professionally?
do you, yeah, how do you feel about professionalism, and what does that actually mean besides just the visual?
Yeah,
And you,
yeah.
that's
Just
that's good.
knowing
Um,
knowing how to navigate social interactions well. That's the main thing, because that's something that's very difficult to teach. And I remember when I was looking for someone to help with these calls for the community, because I started to get tapped out. There's a lot of good guys in there, but I think the timing when we had chatted and you're like, I'm kind of looking for something at least part time. Um, I was like, I had always known you were like you kind of got it. Some people just don't get it as well. Even though there's a lot of good sales reps out there that maybe aren't as sharp on that side of things. But for what we do in the community and how we represent it, how we sell it, the results that we, promise to people. It's like I want a certain type of person in there, and it's like
Hmm.
someone that can play both sides of it and adapt to the person on the call, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just gotta be a chameleon, man.
You got to be chameleon. You really do. And that's probably part of the sentiment that you felt with Cole when you guys got together and started doing stuff together. It was just like, can you be a chameleon in a good way? Like, can you actually, and it's not about being fake or phony and just trying to make the sale at all costs. It's can you actually navigate social cues?
Hmm.
Like, you had the contacts with me in person because we actually met and brought this to life in real person, like in live, but you hadn't even met Cole. And you just knew that
Yeah.
he was going to be able to do that in an intelligent way. Again, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about
Hmm. Yeah, you definitely. I mean, it's way easier to pick up in person, but on Zoom, like I had met with him. I don't know how many times, a handful of times at least, because we originally started something else together that's currently running, but it's on pause, and then we went in on the agency because it was just like this is on pause, let's do this, and yeah, I don't know, you just because I think what also helps too is when you know that the person on the other side of the screen has a track record that's like comparable to yours or better, and it's just like a mutual level of like this guy brings value to the table, and it's not just with Cole or you or other, like anyone, man. Like even when I'm talking to these guys on the community calls, it's like I know who's gonna make it and who's gonna have a harder time.
it. Mm-hmm.
Like it's pretty clear. And then it's funny because like sometimes you'll talk to them, you send a note when they join, and then
Yeah.
I talk to them. It's like, and then I send you a note back. I'm like, yeah, this guy is gonna make it. Um,
You just know. You could
yeah,
probably
yeah. So what? We got like 10 or so more minutes. As far as this is probably a unique perspective that you have that not a lot of people in this space do, but I want to talk a little bit about the recruiting stuff.
Mhm.
So I mentioned it in the beginning, but Jake, unless he's booked or out of town on vacation, he's doing a lot of the recruiting for us, taking a lot of the interviews, going through the database that we have of all these people. Uh, what are some things that you started looking for as you like refined your process and learned how to do this more effectively? Because I don't know how many people you recruited now, but you've got the hang of it. What are some things that you really start to look for when you first start a search? Now, not really specific to that role, but like character traits or like
Mhm.
that kind, like the unspoken stuff.
So not the stuff on the database.
Yeah, yeah, not like, oh, this guy needs to have real estate experience. Okay, like
Yeah.
not that, but like what are some green flags for you when you're selecting these candidates?
Green flags for sure. One, do I know your name? Have I heard you before? Have I seen you before? Do I know something about you outside of these line items on the sheet? Talks about building a personal brand here. Again, we're not talking about building your own info products or launching a course. We're talking about getting on first name basis with people that matter. That's the first thing. Second thing is like if I do reach out, is your communication quick and clear? If not, I don't have time. More importantly, our clients don't have time to wait for you to be able to condense your thoughts together and figure this out.
Yeah.
Um, Two, without even looking, like three, I guess, without looking at the line items, are all the line items checked? Did you take the time? Did you take the 25 minutes to get into our database and fill out everything instead of just putting, oh, I have this, message me for this? No, I'm not going to do that. And how do I know that you have it? Like, no. Those are the big three. I would say most importantly, though,
Hmm.
like, do I know you? Because those roles are going to get filled first. And
Yeah.
that's how it is. That's how it is.
When I was doing a lot of that, there's if anyone watching, if you ever gone through our recruitment form, at the back end of it, it gets pretty dense. Like you need to submit a video and a resume and call recordings if you have them and stuff like that. And I remember I would go through and then I would see someone. I'm like, yeah, this person looks good. I scroll through, and then it's like all of those are blank, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah,
like it could have been, man. Like
it could
you're
have been.
almost there. Um, Now the only thing that like that's just not a good sign, right? It's like whether you weren't prepared or whatever. I don't know what it was, but like it just looks lazy. The only thing that would redeem someone from that, at least when I would do this, is I usually will look. We can sort by like setter, closer, manager, whatever. I look at that, and then I go straight to the Loom video. And I
Oh,
have had some where people would submit a Loom video, and it was like perfect. And I'm not even really so much looking for what they're saying in the Loom video. While that is important, I'm looking for how they're presenting themselves. And just like within the first 10, 20 seconds, I can tell if this person is, has like critical thinking ability.
yeah.
um,
Level two critical thinking ability. That's all we're asking
yeah,
for.
it's dude, like this remote setting stuff, remote closing stuff. We've hired people that it's their first time ever doing it, and they go and they crush 10K months. Like on some of our agency teams, we have guys that do that, setters too. And yeah, man, it's like it's hard to teach people how to be self-aware. It's hard to teach people the like social acuity side of things, and it's hard to teach people how to work hard. It's easy to teach sales.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to teach someone where to go find jobs and how to apply and how to interview and how to perform. But those three things, man, it's like I'd almost rather pick somebody who has all those three that doesn't have sales training or anything, and then coach them where they need to be.
Yep.
But going back to it, the Loom video, if you don't do the other stuff, but your Loom video is just spot on, and I know that there's value in having a 10, 15-minute conversation with you, I might still reach out. Don't get any ideas, though, for anyone listening.
Yeah. And the last thing too is, are they focused in their intent? As you were kind of talking about this, we know a few folks out there that like, are you focused in your intent? Do you know that you are looking for the next best closer opportunity, or are you kind of open? Are you like, I want a setter, I want a closer, I don't know, I don't know. We are looking for people that are focused on their intent. And if it's
Mhm.
clear and you can concisely tell us that what your intent is, makes us one want to work with you more because we know that you're going to figure it out, and two, we know you're going to get the results because we know that you're focused, laser focused on that, and we aren't willing to take a chance on someone that isn't clear in their own mind on what they're looking for. And if they're hoping and praying, that's really hard to fulfill with you and for you.
Yeah. What's one thing for you when considering these recruiters or when taking these interviews? One thing that has nothing to do with sales that if they have that thing, you feel like they're more inclined to succeed. And I mean like an interest, a hobby,
Mm,
a personality trait, some weird quirk that they have, like something that doesn't have to do with sales, but like usually more times than not, if somebody does that thing, they're probably going to be good. Because I have something in mind. I've said it before, but I'm curious if you have anything.
I am biased here. So again, for anybody out there, I have to say this: I'm 6'8", I'm huge. Dylan can attest. I
Yeah.
played college basketball. I say that to say to get to that line there. If they are an athlete at the next level, if they play junior college softball, I don't care. If they're an athlete and they played at the next level, I can't think of one of those people that we've got into our ecosystem that hasn't absolutely demolished.
Yeah.
And that is like, if I'm kind of recruiting and I have three candidates and I learn that you are an athlete, I'm like, oh, that's not even a risk because you'll figure it fuck out and you're disciplined. And that one thing is such a good green flag. Such a good green flag.
Yeah. We hired a setter for one of our biggest agency clients. No experience. He was a community member, so he had that leg up. But he just graduated, was playing, I think it was Division I college football, and he just brought this energy to the team because I knew he wanted it. And anyone who joins a community, they're committed. Obviously, again, high ticket price point, but he brought like this football energy to the team and like hypes everyone up. And as a
Yeah.
setter, like that's definitely something you want. And he's gone and I think had like 7 8K months now with us. Um, so yeah, I agree. You actually stole mine, but I have backups because I feel like maybe you and I had talked about that before too. So like,
Yeah.
um, I would say the military guys that
Yes.
didn't get their brain fried while they were in service,
Yeah.
because some of those guys come out and they're just like a shell of themselves, which is sad. But the guys that come out and maybe they were athletes in the past or they were people that knew how to push themselves, hold themselves accountable. Those guys do really well.
Very well.
Um, and then I had another one. Oh, guys that do guys that still compete in things even in their mid late 20s early
Yeah.
30s. We have a guy on one of our teams. He's very competitive with pickleball.
Yep.
um, so he's an athlete. I don't know if you'd call it higher level, like I don't know if it meets your standard, but he's like very driven to do that. Or like guys that are like really into like jujitsu. It's like,
Yep.
I've got a fight coming up and, I go to practice these days, whatever. Um, but it doesn't have to be, I mean, those are sports, right? But it doesn't have to be sports. Like someone who's like really into music, right?
Hmm.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like the guys that sales is like everything they live, eat, sleep, and breathe. They don't have anything else going for them. Like, no offense, but like, dude, you're kind of a loser. Like, go get a life. Like, sales
Yeah.
is the way to make money. It's not. It shouldn't be your life, right?
Yep.
Um, which might be a controversial take. I don't know. Some like Grant Cardone would maybe hear that and be like, "Oh, this is backwards. It's all backwards." But yeah, dude. If like, I think another one is like wife, kids. Like they've got like people,
Season of
a
life.
reason to succeed, right? That's a
Yep.
big one too. Um, Especially kid on the way, like Jay we were talking
Yeah.
about. That's a motivator for sure.
Yeah. Big time.
Hmm. Well, let's see. We'll probably wrap it up here in just a bit. Um, Trying to think of a good question, good topic to end it on.
I was just, I might steal your thunder here,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, and I'm having conversations with a few people that have been in this space for a little bit and are kind of plotting their next move. Dude, even since I've known you, I've seen the moves you've made, and they've all paid off for the most part. And I mean, yeah, even you and I talked about your 2024 goals, and you've already crushed them, and it's August. Like, how do you sit down and figure out where to go next, and how do you know it's time to make a move?
In just like a general sense, or in like a sales online business focus?
That's a good question. Let's just talk about like sales and online business focus, but don't not income. You're not looking for more income. Like, how do you know? I mean, you are, and you know that'll be a consequence. But how do you know it's time to sit down and plot your next move?
Um, I feel like because like okay, so I walked away from a sales job where I was making like good money for my age. Like um, everybody that I went to school with, I kind of took like a variant off of that path. Like it was kind of in the field, it was roofing sales, but I knew like I was ahead. And so I guess what originally triggered that is when I knew I wanted out, I was like, I'm, if I'm gonna get out of this, like I've got a lot of ground to make up. And so like over the last, how long has that been? 2.5, 3 years. I mean, dude, it wasn't until maybe 2 months ago where I'm working hard, man. Like I'm working, and I'm still working hard, but up until 2 months ago, like I was working like every weekend, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
I would basically work all day until I was like I crashed out or until I had something else to do. Um, my downtime, like when I moved to Austin, I didn't know anybody. Like I didn't have anything to do but work.
Yeah.
And I made some friends since then that distract me from work. But by doing that and then having a way to like meet people, opportunities just kind of like I'm doing the work on myself, similar to what we talked about, Jay. He did the work for himself and then he met the right people that prompted opportunity to present itself. And I think it's just been a series of that, to be honest. It's like a little bit of evaluating opportunity costs
Hmm.
across a few different things, but making sure that I'm the best version of myself. And I'm talking more in that like business entrepreneurial space, so that when I do come across somebody who has an opportunity or just an opportunity, I'm the most prepared version of myself to either accept it and pursue it or to brush it off and stay in my lane. So I don't know, it's kind of like generic, but just dude, just literally move out of your hometown.
Yep.
That whole thing, right? Like it's
Yeah.
real, and just like build the person that you want to be, man. Like I think
Yep.
being in being where I was before, like it really had some limiting factors. So
Yep. Good answer. That's exactly what I wanted.
yeah, um,
We've got to
yeah,
jump to some sales calls, man.
I know. Do you have a call?
No. You do.
I have an internal call here, but yeah, I do got to jump. But no, so I guess I honestly don't know what episode this is going to be. I don't know about the season 2 thing,
Cool.
but it's cool. It's cool to have people on here that like I've already like I talk to basically every day for the past however many months it's been. Um, and then there's a lot of overlap. Like you're doing the sales thing, you're doing the managing, you're doing the agency, and you started in the corporate space. So like it's been a journey, man. And we're still early. There's big things
We're
coming.
early. We
But
big things are indeed coming. I know everyone says that, but yeah, we do. We got some good stuff.
I gotta plug the meetup too. So if you want to meet this guy to confirm that he's actually as tall as he says he is, or meet me, meet Cole, all like basically almost all the sales reps that we mentioned in this video for the most part. September 27th, 28th, Austin, Texas, the high ticket sales meetup.com. Business owners, sales reps. We're going to go around. We're going to do some fun stuff. We're going to eat some good food, have some good times. And yeah, man, it's going to be really good. All the sales reps that came last time, there's so many people that left with jobs and connections and like new friends. And then the business
Yep.
owners this year, we're incorporating the business owners. We already have guys that are lined up running like multiple people running 7 figure per year, multi 7 figure per year online businesses, coaches, agencies. Um, and if you're a sales rep, I don't know why you wouldn't want to be in that environment, even if you're thinking about joining. So Austin, Texas, and it's a write off. By the way, I just texted someone
Yep.
this before that. Like it's a write off. If you want to come to the best state in the U.S., have it as a write off, like September 27, 28.
Be there.
But anyways, it's good chatting, Jake. Probably be
Always.
texting after this about something, but
Yep.
yeah, we'll try to get this one out soon. But
Sounds good, brother.
chatting.
See y'all.
Yeah.